Good morning, everybody, and welcome to 1 Million Cups. As you have probably noticed by now, we're back in labs, which is where we started as a program. We're a weekly experiential educational program that brings you the stories of two presenters that own local companies from the Kansas City area, where they talk about their struggles and their journey as an entrepreneur, and we all work together to help them create a better business. So, just a couple of quick housekeeping things. As always, 1 Million Cups is looking for new, exciting presenters. So if you have a company, if you know someone that has a company, if you know somebody that knows somebody whose brother-in-law has a company, please ask them to present. You can go ahead and apply online at 1millioncups.com. Also, the suggestion was made a couple of weeks ago that we start announcing this, so I wanted to fill in now that I've remembered. As you see, we have the generous sponsorship of the Kauffman Foundation. They do a great job of helping us bring you all coffee every week, but that being said, there's a lot of recyclable cups in this room, so if you have the ability to bring your own mug, let's all be green. Okay, so first up today, we have Chris Cardinal, who's presenting a new company, Wellto.do, and he'll tell you all about it, but it basically is going to help you predict when you're going to get sick. So, without further ado.
Does everybody hear me? All right, I can hear myself. So, first off, thank you to 1 Million Cups for having me. My name is Chris Cardinal, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Wellto.do, a mobile health technology company that is building an application that uses data and science to predict migraines. And it warns users prior to an attack, and it gives them steps that they can take in order to lessen the severity of or prevent their migraine altogether. I'm from Prairie Village, and I'm a regular 1 Million Cups attendee, so I just have to stop and say what an honor it is to be on this side of the stage this morning at such a unique and wonderful event for our community. At Wellto.do, we believe that well-curated and aggregated data is the architecture of the future, and that we're doing a good job at opening it up. All you need to do is look at the data-driven advances from the past that we take advantages of today, from the dissolved language barriers with near real-time communication applications to the way that we as humans find our mates with data-driven smart dating sites that match you on compatibility and a whole bunch of different stuff. We're entering the age of the intelligent machine, and at Wellto.do, we believe that those who have the capability also have a responsibility to keep on tackling the world's problems with our latest advances. And that's why it's my pleasure to show you today how we at Wellto.do are doing just that. We are facing a silent but colossal global health issue with migraines. They are more prevalent than diabetes, epilepsy, and asthma combined, and they cause sufferers disability that is comparable to dementia, quadriplegia, and active psychosis. On top of that, they cost American businesses more than $24 billion annually in direct medical expenditures as well as in lost worker productivity alone. With all of the advancements that we have made by drilling down and scientifically understanding the most basic biological elements of what makes our bodies tick, still little has been discovered by way of providing long-term relief to migraine sufferers. But modern technology offers us a new opportunity to approach this problem from a different angle. It tells us that we can leverage that well-curated and aggregated data and treat disease individual by individual through management of what is triggering those migraines in the first place. By incorporating data that is passively gathered from a user's mobile phone, data that is gathered from third-party APIs, and data that is passive or that is input by users with the migraine diary, we are happy to introduce to you today the first individually tailored migraine prediction service for the consumer market. Wellto.do Migraine will be available on both Android and on iOS, and it offers clear benefits to consumers. It will offer you a forecast for the week of what your likelihood of having a migraine is, and it will give you notifications. It will predict and give you notifications when you're likely going to have a migraine. It will then give you personalized preventive steps that are based upon your history and the latest medical literature. It includes a migraine diary where you can go back and easily navigate through your history of migraines and look at the specific instances. And it gives you standard and advanced reports that give you actionable insight that you can use to help prevent your migraines and that you can also give to your physician for better care coordination. The idea for Wellto.do Migraine stemmed from a history of conversations between myself and Jim Console, the Chief Medical Officer and also co-founder of Wellto.do. We met each other our freshman year in the dorms, and he's a mechanical engineer, and over time we found that we had a lot in common, particularly entrepreneurship. We were amongst a group of friends that would meet on weekends and drink whiskey and have entrepreneurial discussions. The idea of a smart migraine diary and prediction service was something that we tossed around for a long time, but it lay dormant for a number of different years. And during that time, I went on to co-found 3 other companies, always with the vision and focusing on applying data-driven, creative solutions and our cutting-edge technologies to problems. And Jimmy went on to go to KU Med and became an MD, and then caught the entrepreneurial bug again and started a gaming microphone business in Portland, Oregon. This is where we met Will Landecker. Will Landecker is a computer science PhD candidate at Portland State University. He teaches machine learning, and he also worked on at Twitter on the personalization and recommendation algorithms. When Will learned about what we were working on, he got excited. He really liked the computational challenges that these problems had presented to him. And so all together, we decided to join together and take a shot at this problem. So as we were developing Wellto.do Migraine, the idea itself evolved. We realized that we were building a smart health platform that can be targeted on other clinical issues and not just on migraines. And we also realized that the smart health platform inherently was creating value that our healthcare system is craving right now, because it is a self-learning system that is trained based upon behavioral interventions that drive health outcomes. So you see, our smart health platform and Wellto.do Migraine, they don't roll out of the box with all of the answers. They first have to be fed with users' data and information from your phone. And that's the reason that I am here today. I am asking you to help us help you. I need your help. We need beta migraine users, beta Wellto.do Migraine users. So 1 out of 6 people suffer from migraines. 1 out of 4 households in the United States have an individual with a migraine sufferer in the household. That means in this crowd today, we have at least 50 people or so that have a first-degree connection to an individual who suffers from migraines. And I'm asking all of you right now to pick up your phone, go to Wellto.do/migraine, and sign up for your beta, and we will be getting in contact with you with the next steps for that process. If you aren't a migraine sufferer, please spread the word far and wide. Your health is in your hands, and that you're only steps away from taking control of your migraine with Wellto.do Migraine. And that is my time. Thank you all very much. Question time.
We have a question back here to your right in the corner.
Hello. You mentioned that there's a great deal of information known about migraines now, but the one information I may have forgotten, but what causes migraines?
It's a combination of things, and that's really the key, is that there are triggers that can be anything from food to weather-related factors to your activity level while eating certain types of food. And that's kind of the key, is that we're fallible. It's hard for us to see as humans what all of those different factors play into it. We can identify maybe 1 or 2 things, but it's usually a combination of those, and that's really what our smart health platform does.
A question over here on your left.
I worked as a health consultant for probably 15 years. You kind of answered the first one because I was wondering if this would target food allergies that often are found with migraine headaches. The other thing is, what are your thoughts on this possibly bringing about, and I don't mean an attitude, but sort of that, all right, this says I'm going to possibly have a headache this week, so okay, now I'm going to have a headache this week type of mentality.
Like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, I haven't really thought about that before. But, you know, with migraine sufferers, the unique part is that oftentimes they can't tell immediately before they have a migraine if they're going to be suffering from one. And the medications that you have to take in order to abort that migraine or stop it, you have to take it before it actually starts happening. I have a number of sufferers. I can see heads shaking in the room.
I have a daughter that deals with
a daughter that deals with them, yeah. And so really what this gives us the ability to do is potentially help people manage their migraines with their physician as well. And I'm not sure what it would look like for that self-fulfilling prophecy that would cause people actually to have it or not.
Another question back here.
What is the impact on insurance costs? Would an insurer want to know that to raise your rates or lower your rates?
Can you say, what's the impact?
Well, the question is, right, if you're an insurer, you want to know, right, if I have a high instance of these things,
Yeah.
it would cost me more to cover you or me than it would somebody else who doesn't. So with that data available, is that something you're making available to them? And I guess I'm trying to understand what the risks are to the sufferer in terms of his healthcare costs.
Ultimately, what we're trying to do is decrease the out-of-pocket and the healthcare costs for the user and for migraine sufferers. I can't really see how that would how it would drive up the instances, because what we're doing is preventing the migraines and giving them steps that they can take without having to go to the emergency room, without having to go visit their doctor immediately, which actually one of the top 3 reasons that females visit the emergency room in the United States is because of migraines. And oftentimes there's little that can be done for them in those emergency room visits, but it's so excruciating that they want something to be done for them. So those are the type of things that we're looking to reduce the costs of and prevent.
Question here in the middle.
Let's hear it for a perfect name. Well-to-do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You know who really wants to buy your domain is Match.com. And if you could actually marry Match.com and have a website where I could find a healthy guy who is well-to-do and single. Yeah, I'm in that beta. I do have a friend whose husband is a CEO, and he has vascular migraines whenever he closes a deal of $1 billion or more the day after. From the relief of stress, he gets a migraine. So I'll be, trying to put him in your beta.
Great.
Are you going to have any way to track the big disease of the year is gluten? And gluten allergies. Are you going to have any ways to help people who don't even know that they're eating gluten, that might be triggering it?
Our larger vision is really to live at that intersection of the amount of clinically relevant and to utilize the amount of clinically relevant data that we leave behind us in our lives. Right now, we're leveraging the mobile phone as well as user input. So they'll have the ability to put in any type of different systems or symptoms or anything that they want to track into the application. But really where we want to go is we want to move into the implantable or consumable space where the information that we are producing will be fed into a smart system that gives you insight into your own health and allows you to take control of your health. So I hope that one day we'll be able to get to that point, but right now, we're working with what we have.
Another question here in the middle. Hi, I work with a number of employee groups and plan sponsors. I know one of the things that is on the forefront of their minds is preventative care for their members. A lot of those things are driven to help prevent medical claims from even happening. So that gets back to the question earlier. But are there other chronic conditions that you're looking at being able to apply this predictive modeling to that would help plan sponsors control medical plan costs?
Yeah, that is, migraines were our initial focus and always are our focus. We're a startup, and I think that a lot of people in the room understand that if you focus on too many things as a startup, that you spread yourself too thin and you lose, you fail. And so we're really focused on the migraines, but at the same time we realize what the capability of the Smart Health platform is. And so we are collecting data on a number of different specific clinical issues that we wish to apply our technology to down the road. And so we're getting the base information in order to try to start to do that. But we do specifically have our eye on using Wellto.do migraine as a population health management tool for corporate wellness consultants and for those different private care plans and so on.
Is that your audience? Or are you planning on going to those insurance consultants?
Really, with our, right now we're focused on the consumer because we want to empower the consumer. But we can use this technology in a number of different ways. And which direction that we take that, if we go into the clinical realm, is really going to be defined based upon what we find during this beta test. The more information that we get, if we show that we increase adherence to medications, if we show that we decrease the hospital visits, if we show those things, then it gives us the leverage to be able to go into that realm. Yeah.
Next question in the middle.
Hi, to the guy in the rear earlier, he was talking about the health insurance companies and how they may or may not misuse this information. You know, data can be monetized. That's what you need to do with it usually. Are you intending to keep it private, or I mean, it might not be a bad thing to sell it, but what is it for the individual user?
We intend to keep it completely private. And Will, actually, one of the things that Will Landecker, one of the co-founders, does study, and I didn't say everything that we all do in this, obviously, but he is an expert and studies some of the most recent and advanced cryptology and algorithms that we can use to secure this. And that's something, one of his roles as the chief data scientist is actually looking at the ways that we can make sure that the patients' and users' information is absolutely secure. It's actually users and not
Actually, not so much security, although that's its own issue. I mean,
We're not selling it.
There we go.
Yeah, we're not going to
Okay,
sell it.
thanks.
Yeah.
Question back here.
Great presentation, Chris. This is Derek
Thank you.
Willard. What's the competitive landscape look like out there?
There are a number of different migraine diaries that are on the market right now that allow you to track some of your symptoms. And there are generalized migraine forecasts and warnings that are put together by companies like AccuWeather. They have a migraine forecast, but it's like it's kind of like a generalized allergy warning or weather warning or anything else, where it's only so much that you can do with that information. And as for the prediction side, on the prediction side and the smart health platform, there's other companies like Ginger.io who are doing very similar things to what we're doing, but a lot of them are really focused on the clinical side. And we really want to own that relationships with the consumer. We want to build up that trust and give that actionable insight back to the consumer to empower them as quickly as possible, because that's how we think that we're going to drive the most change in the healthcare system.
Next question up front.
You're a very good speaker.
Oh, thank
You need to get out and talk to corporations.
Okay.
Because if you're talking to the Cerners and the Sprints and the larger companies here in town that have a number of people with this problem, it's going to skyrocket for you.
Thank you. I hope so. And we are getting out there and starting to talk to different people as we go.
Question back here.
I don't know much of anything about migraines. Sorry, over here.
Okay.
But it seems like a very hard thing to measure. How do you measure the predictive capability, especially if you're successful and a migraine doesn't happen, but yet you predicted one?
Yeah. So we have done internal studies where we took actual historical data from migraine sufferers and ran it through our system, and we were actually able to predict 4 out of 5 migraines that occurred in that data. And so really what this is our predictions are as good as the information that we take in and the information that you give us. We're tracking a lot of information passively, but if you're not telling us when you're having migraines, then we're not going to be able to start correlating things to figure out what those triggers are or what the patterns are that give you those migraines. So the initial studies have been very, very promising, and actually we're really proud of what we've been able to do. And as we get more information and people onto our beta, it'll become even more accurate the more people that we get it, because we'll be able to segment down into different classifications of different types of migraine sufferers, which it automatically does it already. But our algorithms, the algorithms that we're using right now are actually, we're commercializing research that's been done by Will Landecker at the Santa Fe Institute, which is one of the world's foremost science and technology think tanks. And so what we're using is very, very unique, and And we like to believe that it's the best that's on the market, and we're trying to take it to the market as quickly as possible.
I have another question up front.
Good morning. I have a suggestion for synergy with another local startup. It's Inform the Patient.
Okay.
And the Medicare annual wellness program is a whole separate pot of money that doctors can do wellness visits with patients because it's cheaper to fix it and prevent it than fix it. I already tweeted out the information, but they have informthepatient.com, and what they do is they help the doctors streamline the filings because one of the things is it's just so hard to get through. But I see a great connection between what you're doing and what they're doing to tie that together.
You know, I think I've been to their website and I've looked at them just from them being another startup in Kansas City. And didn't they do the preventive health checkups?
Yeah,
with
it's the annual wellness.
The annual wellness visits. That's what it is. Yeah.
They're a Spark Lab KC startup.
Yeah, I've heard of them, and those are someone. If anyone in the room, knows them or anything, I'd love to sit down for coffee and actually chat with them.
Question back here in the middle.
I'm just curious about the business model. Is this a subscription model, or will you be selling advertising on the site? Both?
No, you're right. Subscription. So the way that we have it set up right now is Wellto.do Migraine will be offered as a freemium application, where you'll be able to download the application for free and use it for free with its full features until we get to the point to where we can that we know that we can give you behavioral interventions that specifically will decrease your migraines or drive health outcomes for you. And then also that once we get to the point that we can send you warnings that you're going to have a migraine, then we'll give you a free trial of the full features, and then those will become premium features that you do have to pay a monthly subscription for. But the rest of the application, so I don't have the images aren't up here anymore, but the rest of the application, the migraine forecasting and your diary and all that information will be free forever to use with Wellto.do Migraine.
Great, right here.
With the statistic that you gave out about migraines in the hospitals, I'm curious what the hospital's response has been, or are you having success with networking with hospitals in the area? What's that response been like?
We have been really, really silent recently. We've had our head in code primarily. We've been getting the business side together and haven't had conversations with hospitals at this point. This is one of the first times that we're out there publicly kind of talking about this. But we are working, and I have actually had discussions with the Department of Neurology at KU Med. And one of our advisors is a neurologist at KU Med, and he's helping us put together the behavioral interventions that we will be passing to the users. So the small amount of experience that I've had with those interactions have been very positive. But I don't have enough of a data set to be able to tell you what it's going to be like.
Another question over here.
Hi, Chris. You and I went through the Fast Track program before, so
yeah.
I've watched your progress, and it's great. I looked at your website here, and it's awesome.
Thank you.
You probably got some money invested in that?
I did it. I did it all myself.
My question is, how far are you from fully releasing this, getting this out of the beta?
We are on parallel development paths right now. So our team interiorly is currently developing the application ourselves. We all can code, but we don't and haven't developed ourselves mobile applications, but we know a bunch of different languages that allow us to make mobile applications. So we're crossing over those hurdles as we keep on developing ourselves, while at the same time we have applied to the digital sandbox, and we're keeping our fingers crossed that we'll be able to receive some of that proof of concept seed funding so that we can expedite the amount of time in which we will reduce or release the application.
A question right here.
Chris, I think it's really great what you're doing to help, actually to empower the customer too, as you say. I know that the migraine sufferers, even long-term migraine sufferers, can not necessarily recognize some of the signs, the warning signs, yawning in the prodrome or the warning phase of a migraine. So obviously you're identifying those points. What about during the actual time that they're suffering the migraine? And I know one of the concerns for migraine sufferers is that some of the symptoms are, for example, are vomiting and medications. So does your does your app, is it able to capture the medications and kind of coach them through knowing if they've, because I know that it can kind of lose track of how much medications that they've taken.
We do give the user, and we're building it into where they have the ability to tell us what medications they're taking and when they're taking those medications so that the user can go back and look at that information and use it. We, at this point, cannot tell a user what to take, when to take, or any of that, because then we get into a whole bunch of regulations that we don't need to deal with, because it's just not necessary. I mean, we can still help people without having to go through all that regulatory hassle. Why would we do that, right?
One more question here.
All right.
Another admonition. You were talking about talking to hospitals. You need to talk to independent physicians. These are the people who can move this to the fore.
Good one.
Yeah.
Sorry. Please have another question.
We've got one more question.
And then one more after that, I hope.
I don't get the business model at all. Why wouldn't you license it to like United Healthcare? It's cheaper for them to prevent a migraine than to insure you. They could give a discount to the patient for participating.
So we can utilize the core technology that in our Smart Health platform in both Wellto.do migraine that we're releasing to the consumer, and then we can use that as a natural experiment to figure out what type of outcomes that we can drive to release another product to those type of customers that is specifically targeting their issues. That's what our plan is.
Okay, so we're getting close to wrapping up our time here. So I do have two questions for you. So one is talk just briefly about how you got to where you are now, and what that story looks like to standing here with a product ready to almost launch, and what was that like?
It's been interesting. Look at my wife. I started off running political campaigns. I ran political campaigns and advocacy campaigns, and I was a lobbyist. And I was always using data in order to try to drive constituent engagement, to get people to go vote, to get people to raise money or to give money, to get people to volunteer for something. And I built models in order to help organizations do that same thing in the nonprofit world. And that's where I started one of my other companies, Huddle Strategic. And really, it was just where this all culminated from was just being surrounded by a group of friends who loved ideas, who loved putting something into the market, and who were open enough to share those ideas with each other so that we could work together in order to try to build something. And over time, it's culminated into this, at least in my life.
Awesome. And of course, the final question that we always ask at 1 million Cups is, what can we do as a community shoved in this room do for you to help you?
My presentation isn't up anymore. I don't know if we can get that back up there. But I just had my wife send a tweet. I would like you all to retweet that tweet, okay? It says, sign up to get the mobile health app that uses data and science to predict your migraine. And it uses the hashtag 1MC. Jump on Twitter, retweet that tweet right now. And then, of course, just join the free beta yourself and tell everyone that you know about how they can start to manage their migraines at the individual level and hopefully prevent them and improve their quality of life.
Great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so in the middle here we have a chance to get a few announcements. I don't know if we asked earlier, maybe she did, about how many people are here for the first time. Can you raise your hand? Oh, great. That's fantastic. Okay, so we're normally on the other side. We're usually in the conference space over there, but today I'm so excited to be back over here. This is like coming home. So a few announcements. First off, we have Kevin with Spark Lab.
Anyway, supposed to have the Spark Lab slide up. But Spark Lab KC is a business accelerator located here in Kansas City. We have 17 corporate and university partners. We have over 100 mentors that represent a cross-section of every company in Kansas City. Our applications are open again for the next 10 companies. Applications close in 16 days. So if you're a startup and you feel like a 90-day in-residence accelerator program can propel you to the next level, we encourage you to go to the website. There we go, sparklabkc.com. It's a lengthy application process. There'll be lots of people applying. It is very competitive, but we only take the best companies. For example, Inform the Patient that you were just talking about was a company that had a paper-based product when they entered the program. When they finished, they were in the cloud with 90 direct sales reps out. They don't even need to raise money. They'll hit $1 million run rate by February. So, Chris, I can introduce you to those guys. Applications are open. If you have any questions, find me. I'll be around the room later. Thanks, George.
Okay, and then we have Ryan with reverse, but well, Casey next and everything else, but reverse pitch coming up next week during GEW.
Thank you. You guys like my startup attire today? I had a meeting before this. So, thanks for the opportunity to talk about two exciting events next week during Global Entrepreneurship Week. We're excited to host in conjunction with the CSC the reverse pitch, but if you haven't seen any email traffic about that, it's a really unique event where the big corporations in Kansas City are going to be pitching just like we are today. So we're excited to announce that the companies that will be pitching will be H&R Block, Sprint. We also have DST Systems, UMKC, and the Chiefs are all going to be pitching real products or problems that they need you to solve. So it'll be next Thursday from 3 to 5 p.m. at Union Station. The event's sold out, but I wouldn't be up here talking about it if we didn't reserve 10 tickets for this crowd. So it's kcreversepitch.eventbrite.com, and the code is 1MC, and there are only 10. So I see many of you have your devices out. So we're excited about that one. Also, following that will be a networking event that we'll host with our Technology Council partners, as well as Angel Capital Group. And the Digital Sandbox will have over 20 companies that will have a showcase table out there as well. And that event is free. Both events are free. So if you can't make it to Reverse Pitch, we will have a live stream for that too. We'll record those pitches and share those out via social media as well. So we'll share the link of the live stream through our Twitter feed at KC Next. And if you have any questions, let us know. Thanks, George. Oh, also too, I want to give a shout out to George. So we actually are building a platform for each of these Kansas City companies to pitch back to the corporations built by Criminal. So thanks, George.
I'll take the plug. Okay, so one more announcement from Kate with for GEW next week. Who here knows, has heard at least about GEW next week? Good. You guys should all be a lot more excited about it.
Thanks, George. Yeah, GEW actually started this morning at 7:30 with their first event. Kansas City, it's too big to be in a week, so it's 10 days of fun and excitement all over town, all over the metro area. More than 60 events, more than 100 different organizations. I'm not going to go through all 60 events. I'm just going to touch on a couple of them. And Ryan hit one of the ones that was on my list. This Friday, there's a startup job crawl. That's going to start out in the Startup Village. Silicon Prairie News is sponsoring that one. Starts at 10 o'clock. Next week, Monday, Get in the Ring. That one is actually full, but if you have a ticket for that, I understand the KC Startup Village is doing a tailgate, and the Eventbrite is over here, Get in the Ring tailgate. So if you're already signed up for that event and want to be involved in the tailgate, there you go. If you want to know anything about any of the events, the website's right here, links to everything. I would say that most of the events are free, but we encourage you to sign up, and if you sign up, come. Next week also on Tuesday morning, get up early, 7:30 at the Roastery. Fast Track is going to celebrate 20 years, and I know lots of great alumni of Fast Track in the crowd. We're doing a demo day. It's kind of like a really long 1 million cups, but really exciting too. 13 great companies presenting from 1 until about 5, reception, and a really great lunch to kick it off at 11:30. On Wednesday evening, 5:30 down at Union Station, the Extreme Screen, there's an event called EKC Explained, and there are going to be about 20 different organizations taking a really unique look at this whole entrepreneurship phenomenon in Kansas City. And then if that's not enough, on Saturday, we're going to involve all the retailers with a Shop KC. It's called 7 to 7 Saturday. We encourage you to go out and shop all day long, patronize your local, shop local Kansas City retail merchants and restaurateurs, post those up on Instagram, and there'll actually be some prizes. And I think that does it. Thank you.
We're very, very excited about I mean, I guess now going through next week is a huge time, not only here in Kansas City, but you get to be a part of a movement that really is happening globally, which is just super exciting. If you haven't been able to check it out, definitely go look at GEW. Okay, so a little housekeeping things. The joys of Kaufman Labs is that we're in this kind of awkwardly divided space. There's people in the back. Everybody in the back, wave. Okay, people in the back. We know that because you're back there, you actually don't think this is a live event, and so you actually think that it's cool to start networking. So we're going to try to, if you can, keep as much attention this way. Hey. So that we can definitely give the attention to the entrepreneurs, because that's what we're here for. So, if any of you have heard of the Kansas City Startup Village, you've probably heard of Local Ruckus. And I'm just going to throw out the name because everybody's heard of Local Ruckus. But what you don't know is that they have been working really hard on a really exciting pivot. And what we're really excited about is these guys were one of our early first presenters at 1 Million Cups. Gosh, how long ago was it?
April of 12.
April of 12. Gosh, over a year ago now. And that was, I think, one of the first ones, I think.
Third one.
He knows. He'll tell you. It's one of the third presenters. But they are back yet again. So to give us a huge announcement about Hoopla.io. So I want to warm welcome, 1 Million Cups. Gosh, words today, just not my day. Adam and Matthew, thanks guys.
All right, so we are really excited to be here and really excited about tell you about our new adventure. And here's to hoping that third time's a charm, right? All right, but no, we're not going to lie. It's been a heck of a ride, tons of ups and downs, and there's been several points where we didn't know if we were going to be able to figure it out, but we're pretty confident we're on our way now.
It's the truth. Adam and I have had. Oh, there you go. Adam and I have had several conversations, and we didn't know if we were going to make it. We didn't know if we were going to throw in the towel. I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to that. But thanks to this community, right, you guys out here in the crowd, through the advice, the feedback, and the mentorship, we were able to not only persevere, but actually reach the change, the pivot, which led us to Hoopla.io, and we're excited to talk to you about that today.
Yeah, so as many of you know, and as George mentioned, we've been previously working on Local Ruckus for the past few years. It's an easier way to find and share local events, and quite honestly, people love it. But building it to be a business proved to be more challenging. During that time, we found a lot of really important things out. We found that the real problem was that local businesses just don't have the time, money, or expertise to effectively market their events so that we can easily find them. And then on the other side, publishers. And when I say publishers, it's apps, it's event websites, it's newspapers, it's anybody that wants that information has no reliable source to get it. So they're left to pay staff to manually curate it or pay expensive licenses to some of our competitors to get access to that information. And that's exactly why we've built Hoopla.io. So Hoopla.io is an event marketing platform for local businesses and then a content syndication network for publishers.
So that's a mouthful right there. Let's take it down to an example that we can all understand and an example we can all appreciate. Coffee? No. Beer. Something we can all appreciate, right? Beer. So you know how it goes. Thousands of breweries around the country producing hundreds of thousands of bottles of beer every day. Beer distributors come and pick it up and take it to the places that we expect to find it. Liquor stores, gas stations, restaurants, pubs, right? So imagine for a second, just for a second, that there's no beer distributors and that we don't get that frothy, tasty goodness on a daily basis. Anarchy.
Don't tell them daily. Every week, once a week.
All right, everyone, once a week. It's anarchy, right? Mass chaos. Zombie apocalypse, dogs and cats living together. We wouldn't stand for it, right? But that's exactly what's happening with local events. You see, There's thousands of local businesses with hundreds of thousands of local events every day, yet there's no one taking them to the places that we expect to find them, like Dondo said. Mobile apps, event websites, news and digital and print publications. That's what Hoopla.io is. We are the local distributor of local events.
So what we do is really pretty simple. We charge an affordable monthly subscription or a per event charge for people that aren't putting on a ton of events for local or for event marketing tools that save them time and get more people to their events and measure the effectiveness of their marketing efforts. And then for publishers, we provide the most reliable, high quality source for local events available and provide that to them for free so that we can build our network of publishers and provide value to those local businesses.
So there you have it, Hoopla.io in a nutshell. But where does our company stand today? So we launched the brand in June, and we released the first version of our platform on October 1st. And through it all, we've managed to assemble a stellar 11-person team. So what naturally comes next? Traction, right? Get the customers. So we had lots of conversations with local businesses and publishers of all sizes and got a lot of great feedback. So what we do now is we throw out the net, right? See which comes our way. Where's the traction lie? So thankfully, we were able to land a monster fish in the form of Sprint, who is consuming our content for a mobile app they will be releasing soon. We've also had great nibbles from another monster fish in the form of one of the largest newspaper groups in America, who has access to over 300 markets around the country. But we also had a lot of traction from a place that we didn't really expect in the form of college towns.
Yeah, so it was really interesting. So we were focused on big cities, big towns, big publishers, and really the answer was right under our nose. We had the city of Pittsburgh, Kansas reach out and ask for our platform. We had college interns asking for internships with us because they loved what we were doing and wanted to be a part of it. And when we took a step back, it made a ton of sense. I mean, look at Facebook. They started with college students because they're early adopters of new technology. And then look at Walmart. They started in second and third tier markets because they were underserved. And that opportunity is absolutely there for local events as well. We found that these small towns are not using tools at all right now. So we can come in, solve that pain point, and really gain traction on our, as the first step on our local event world domination.
World domination. So we bring it full circle, right? We started in this community. You guys believed in us. You guys gave us the support, the mentorship, the advice that helped us get through to Hoopla. And through all the changes that we just mentioned and getting Hoopla to where it is today, again, it comes back to you guys. You guys continually support us, supporting each other, and we like that.
and we know we're not out of the woods. We got a bunch of challenges ahead of us, but we're as confident as ever. We got a heck of a team. We got a heck of a platform. We're in a disruptive place with a big opportunity, and we know that when we hit the hard times, that we can continue to rely on you guys for support, and we'd like to thank you very much for that.
And just a couple things before we get to Q&A. One, we of course welcome questions about our business. We'd love to hear what you have to think. But also about us as entrepreneurs. I mean, we want to go back to 1MC's roots, which is, hey, we're all entrepreneurs. We're all trying to figure this thing out. So if you have any questions for us as entrepreneurs, please throw them our way. And a lot of our team is here. So we would ask that our team kind of raise their hand, maybe stand up, do a jumping jack. So if you have any questions for those guys and girls as well after, please feel free to approach them.
That brings us to questions.
We answered them all.
How much do you charge a business to promote their event?
Yeah, so we launched it October 1st, and right now for the plans for local businesses that kind of have a lot of events, we're planning on a $20 and $45 a month plan, and that just to clarify a little bit on those features that we described kind of high level, they can manage their social media and measure the impact of that. We're building some basic email capabilities where they can measure the effectiveness of that. So we're trying to give them, or we're building them, the one central hub, but $20 and $45 a month is what we're looking at for local businesses. but we'll always have a free plan as well.
Yeah, we'll always, it's based on a freemium model, so we want to really keep the barrier to entry low. Come try it out, see if it works for you. If it does, great, advance to the higher features.
Yep.
So last week, we heard from a website based in Libya, bizfriend.ly, and now your .io, which is, this man tells me is the Indian Ocean. Are you kidding me? I mean, I think the hoopla part is great. I think what you're doing is great. I even quit doing PR because there's no reporter to send the information to.
Yeah.
Are you working with the pitch? But it's like, you can't read your name, it just looks weird. It's like a Scrabble tablet. You know,
Yeah.
write down all the letters, it's like no one can pronounce it.
That is great feedback. That is really, really great feedback. We actually own hooplaio.com, so if you get confused, you can go there. But the thing about it is this is a B2B platform. This isn't a consumer-facing platform. So this is, we provide the marketing material for these businesses to solve a real problem for them. We would never do this for a consumer-facing problem or platform. LocalRuckus.com, is much easier. But trust me, the other part is there are very few URLs out there that are any good whatsoever without being like we do localeventswell.com or something like that. So I think that would be a little worse.
But it's interesting because the .io really goes with our tagline, which is events in, events out. So IO, input, output, .io.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah.
Battery's dead. So
Okay.
We'll just have people, you can call out
Yeah.
people. Please repeat the question as you get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Way in the back.
Wow. Dude, way back. All right.
Yes.
The price is right, ladies and gentlemen.
Use your outside voice.
It's broken.
Just a quick question. So you guys do predominantly event marketing, promotions, things of that nature.
Yep.
It would seem to me that a place that's completely underserviced, and I think you guys mentioned, Walmart finding second and third tier markets because they're underserviced. Nonprofits obviously generate a lot of revenue from events, right? So they would be a good group to want to acquire, some usage of your product. Are you guys going to provide event logistics as well? Taking in the funds, taking in bids, taking in those types of things so that it helps them, bring in more revenue and there's a good ROI on that product?
So yeah, just so everyone could hear, the question was about nonprofits using our platform and kind of the tools specifically built for them, maybe for fundraising, et cetera, that they could utilize.
Yeah, so right now, I mean, that is absolutely on our roadmap, but it takes time to develop all those features. The reason right now we found college towns and our focus there is, like I said, students drive a ton of the energy around college towns and do a lot of the events through their clubs and different things. We've talked with a number of college students and continue to validate this, that literally the tools they use right now for email marketing, they use Gmail. For Twitter and Facebook, they're going straight there trying to remember to do it. They're using no tools. They're going directly to the source. And so there's a real opportunity there to give them really simple tools that really change the effectiveness of what they're doing. Nonprofits are close behind because they aren't generally as sophisticated as an event venue or music venue. So they are probably going to prove to be maybe step 2 in that process. But they also, like you mentioned, require more sophisticated tools. And so we haven't built those yet. So that's why we're staying focused on college towns and small towns at the moment.
And this just real quickly brings us to a lesson that we learned with Local Ruckus, which is don't spread yourself thin. Right? Stay focused, stay true, throw out the net, see where the traction comes from, and get to those places when the time is right.
All right, so I got a new battery. We're going to try this again. We'll start out right here.
All right, so he answered my first question. I've been bothering you guys about the nonprofit thing with Local Ruckus for like a year.
Yes, you have.
With Cinema KC, one of the biggest problems that we have is we are doing our email tracking and everything else, and we are trying to utilize our tools as best we can. But like this week, we sent out 315 press releases, all of them being tracked, all the data coming back in. Oh, nothing's happening. Like 300 of them aren't even getting opened. So how can you guys help us in that regard in getting the word spread? How exactly, I would kind of dipped in the waters a little bit in the presentation, but how will that be more of a benefit to us instead of using a service?
Right. I mean, one of the things we've realized is, I mean, you're playing in a big city. I mean, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of people trying to do stuff, and that's where we realize that to really provide you a way to break through that noise, we're going to have more robust features, which we've discussed and are on the roadmap. But until we get to that point, honestly, it's going to be really challenging for to break through all of that. And we have some really cool ideas on, but where we want to start, like I said, is where's the easiest point to gain traction, solve a pain point for people, and start to validate some of the assumptions we have. And like I said, I mean, that is exactly the question we're getting in Kansas City. You have to have much more sophisticated platform to do that here in town, because there's thousands of other people doing it. In a small town, you got dozens. So there's much less noise, and they're less sophisticated when it comes oftentimes to the tools they're using. So like I said, first step, college towns, student organizations, and then next step is work towards developing those tools for you.
Hey guys, there's a question from the overflow room. Just because we're maxed out here, we've got people in other spaces, so.
Hi, overflow room.
So the overflow room wants to know, what are you doing to partner with arts organizations, especially with UMKC?
Yeah, repeat the question, Ken.
Yeah, go ahead.
The question is, what are we doing to partner with arts organizations, including UMKC? Yeah, we actually had a number of good conversations. And since October 1st, and we've talked with dozens of different organizations and things and talking through their pain points and what they need, including Arts KC, including KC Studio, including the KC Library. And it comes back to kind of what we just talked about, is there's absolutely a pain point there, but we as a young company have to continue to develop those features to really solve it in a big market like this. And so what we have, honestly, we've gotten tremendous feedback onto what they need, and we are as confident as ever on what we need to deliver to really break into that market. But again, that takes time. I haven't raised $10 million yet to hire 100 developers. And so what we're doing is picking off the markets that we can attack and be successful in right now. So that is, we've had, honestly, some of our best conversations have been with arts groups. But again, it's working towards being able to develop those in the coming months.
Yeah, I mean, another target that we're looking at for the next question is like municipalities as well, right? And associations. I mean, those guys are coming to us, well, and we're going to them saying, hey, we can provide your business members with a tool to really make their lives easier. And what they're saying is, wow, this could make our lives easier because, we have 180 events a year. We need a way to manage them. So it's kind of twofold there.
Yeah.
Great. Next question up front.
Good morning. I met you at the Startup Challenge, and I love Local Ruckus and all you do within the community. My question is, I'm a small business. I'm a presenter for workshops. And is there room within this platform for small businesses, or is it mainly larger organizations?
No, I mean, we're really turning our focus towards smaller businesses because like a lot of the tools out there are enterprise level, and they do far too much, and they're far too complicated for people like you to use. Even a Hootsuite is confusing for people that haven't used tools like that before. And so our whole goal is to make them simple for someone like you that probably isn't familiar with all those tools out there. One easy place to do that. And so absolutely that we're building tools for you.
I mean, and we'll certainly take customers of any size, large, medium, small. But the interesting thing is the bigger customers, right? The bigger local businesses, they have the marketing budget to do this tenfold, right? They've got a big staff doing this. Well, we're catering to the guys who don't have that large marketing budget, making their lives easier.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next question in the middle.
Hi, Rick.
Hey, guys. So one of the lessons we've learned at Connecting for Good is that when it comes to getting the word out to the media, we found, we've developed personal relationships with many of the reporters and the people that are doing that. And we found that with them, there's key things that each of these reporters care about. And so when we're coming up with a new event, we automatically know, so this reporter is gonna really dig this kind of information, and so we really need to get them on board and personalize, so we can really personalize the message to each of these. So do you guys have a way for, like, these reporters and the media outlets to come in and customize their message, or the information they receive, so that, so that they only hear about the things that they care about?
That just jumped on our roadmap. I mean, there's an opportunity there. I mean, honestly, we have had hundreds of different specific things that people have said they would love to see, and that's one of them too. Is around press releases and how to make sure the media has access to your information. One of the things we have to do well is if we give local businesses all of these tools to easily do that, the media is going to hate us because now they're going to get thousands of these things every day. So part of what we have to do is find the effective way to work with the media so that maybe we give them a curated list of what the best is for them. I don't know, but again, that's once we get the businesses engaged and start solving them, then that's absolutely something that we'll consider.
Next question in the back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just saw, somebody sent me an article on LinkedIn about a competition I think that you guys had won. I just wonder if you could talk about that a little, maybe what you learned from that and what you liked about Hiplo.
We didn't even pay that guy to ask that
Yeah,
question.
checks in the mail. Love it.
Yeah.
Actually, we've had a few successes that we'd like to mention. So one, we were selected as one of Turnstone's 2013 Best Young Companies to Work For, which was pretty cool. We were chosen as as Tech Cocktail's Hottest Showcase in Startup in Kansas City recently. And the event that you're talking about is the Miller Lite Tap the Future competition. So interesting story behind this, actually. We like to increase our luck surface area. So anything that comes our way, if it takes just a bit of time, we'll try to do it and see what happens. So Adam was cruising around LinkedIn and saw an ad for this Miller Lite Tap the Future competition. Clicks it, reads about it, sends it my way, says, what do you think? Should we apply for it? I'm like, yeah, why not? I'll take an hour and I'll put together the application. So we do it. A few months later, I think it was, we get a call. Hey, you've been selected as a semifinalist. Okay, well, what does that mean? We didn't know if that meant 100 semifinalists or what. Well, it turns out there was only 25 companies chosen as a semifinalist. And they'd broken the competition down into 5 regions. So we were one of 5 companies in the central region. So we headed down to Dallas to pitch in the semifinal to Damon John of Shark Tank and some other business experts. Yeah, it was pretty cool to have Damon John sitting like right there.
He's this tall.
Yeah. He and Tom Cruise like, woo, right there. We went down there and we put our best foot forward and we won the semifinal. So that got us a $20,000 grant and moved us on to the finals, which take place December 7th in Chicago. So now there's 5 companies and a 20% chance for us to win $250K and get some really nice notoriety.
That was a fantastic question. Any more?
That's great. So we've got one more question for Nate if he wants to go. And
Here we go. Here we go. I'm gonna get this guy the mic.
I might have stepped away, so sorry if this is redundant, but it's been really cool to see how you guys have become leaders of the community. And part of what makes a great startup community, and when you look at places like Matthew, I know that you came from Boulder previously, and these places that are prized for having great communities have a ton of startup leaders and sort of this culture of togetherness. And you guys have done an amazing job with the Startup Village to shape that culture. And so I was wondering if you could talk about your involvement as being a leader in the community and finding balance with that to still run a company. And it's important as an entrepreneur to go out and be known in the community, but it's also a fine line when you see people at everything and you wonder if things are still working or how it could work. So I think it's so cool because overall, the overarching theme is if you're in the community, and we've heard it, you start in the community, you grow in the community, we can continue to support you guys. You almost, crowdsource your own success. So anyway, could you talk a little bit about being leaders?
Yeah. That's a good question because we've been asked many.
How long do we have? We got a couple hours?
Yeah.
We could go on.
So back in 2008, but no, we've been asked that question a lot of times, and there's a lot of reasons why we're so dedicated to it. For me, a lot of it comes from I spent the first year working on Local Ruckus. This was 2010 before any of this happened. And I didn't know there was a community. There hardly was one. There was, maybe a few dozen people. And I learned in that year that I barely survived from an entrepreneur's perspective, that I needed that support. And once I found that community and realized and saw that it was being a part of it and having all those conversations and mentoring and connections is the only reason we are where we are. I can attribute almost every single success we've had to being heavily involved in this community. Whether it's almost every single person on our team was because of something we did, the pivots we've had, the mentors we've had. Hearing Spark Labs is amazing, but we haven't been fortunate enough to be a part of any formalized accelerator or mentoring program. So what we kind of say is we built that around us. We built a startup community because we knew it was incredibly valuable to us and our company and other entrepreneurs. And it's exciting to see what it's been. We hope and what we want is it just to be a catalyst for more of this, and raising Kansas City's kind of profile on the national scale. And I think we've undeniably been able to do that.
I love that this question comes from Nate, who we all love so much, and who's done wonders for this startup community with 1 million cups and so much more. As Adam said, we would not be here if it weren't for this community. We wouldn't have made the success and the progress. Has it been easy? No. We certainly had questions like this in the past when we were really so gung-ho about the village and what was happening, and we found that the balance of building the village or helping to co-lead the village was outdoing building our business. And we said, we can't do this because our business will fail. And if that fails, then we can't do anything else. So we had a lot of heart-to-heart conversations, but we finally found a healthy balance. The co-leaders have come on board in full steam, and now it's just kind of taken its own breath of life. But without this community, we wouldn't be here. And the thing I think we love the most is that give first, get later mentality, right? Brad Feld talks about it in his Startup Communities book. And that's really what it's all about. Like, if we just give, if we take that extra moment at midnight or 1 in the morning to do something for the village or for the community, it's going to come back tenfold. We know that will happen. That's not why we do it. We do it because we love it, and we want Kansas City to win, right, in the grand scheme of things. But it's that give first, get later mentality that really does it for us.
That's pretty awesome. So, wrap up community question. You've done a lot for us. What can we also do for you guys? Like, what's the next step here?
All right, I'm going to jump on this one here. So first of all, we want to thank you guys because you've done so much for us already. You really have. But we're going to ask for a little bit more, right? So if you didn't hear yesterday, we were on the Dream Big America radio show. Dondo did the 2-minute pitch, and it was fantastic. So we have, I think, another 6 hours to vote. We're up against 2 other companies. One's in Minneapolis and one is in California. So we would love your vote. So if you could text DBA to that phone number, you'll get a link. You just click the link, opens up your mobile app or your mobile browser, click vote for Hoopla.io, and we would super appreciate it.
Awesome. Anything else? Well, thank you guys so much. It's great watching you guys grow. I am very hopeful what Hoopla has going. And congratulations on everything that's going on. Big round of applause, and thank you again. And that does it for us at 1 Million Cups. Another week. Next week, reminder, we will be back in the larger room for Global Entrepreneurship Week. We've got a great week planned for you there. And be sure to plug in with the Kaufman for everything that they're doing. Thanks a bunch.